Hi, this is Mike Pinella, broadcasting from EdTech Island in Second Life, and welcome to my virtual world lesson on lucid dreaming. This lesson was created as my final project in Dr. Haskell's epically awesome Teaching and Learning in Virtual Worlds course as part of my broader Boise State Educational Technology Master's Program. Now, the great advantage of a virtual lesson is the ability to experience something firsthand. As such, we have recruited a volunteer through whose eyes you will experience, and are already experiencing, this lesson, namely my good pal, Call Me Lou88. And if I can manage to flip the camera around, we'll properly introduce you to Lou. You want to say hi, Lou? Yes, very nice. Thank you again for joining us. We really appreciate it. Couldn't have done this without. Okay, so how about we just go ahead and flip the camera back around and proceed with the lesson here. All right, Lou, so if you can head over to the meeting spot. Looks like it's 50 meters up. Oh, if you want some free pizza, go ahead and grab that. Might make the lesson go faster. Okay, well, in that case, how about we just skip the pizza and go ahead and fly up here in the air and see if we can find the meeting spot up here. 50 meters up. Very nice. Okay. Now, there's no denying it. Flying it in Second Life is pretty cool. But imagine if you could fly in real life. And I'm not talking bungees, jetpacks, or parachutes. I'm talking actual volitional human flight. And then imagine if you could use those same superpowers to confront and overcome all your greatest fears. Well, it may not be possible in your waking life, but it is in your dreaming life. So Lou, if you could go on and click on the sign, you can see a great little introductory video from the world of luciddreaming.com.
Welcome to the world of lucid dreaming. Wouldn't it be amazing if you could have vivid and entertaining dreams every night? Unlike normal dreams, lucid dreams are tangible and vivid. You can feel the sun on your skin, see far into the distance, taste delicious foods, and compose beautiful music. What's more, because the conscious brain is awake in the dream, you have control over your awareness, allowing you to guide and control the dream at will. For a few hours each night, you become the master of your own lucid universe.
Now, in Western culture, where dreaming is often thought of as little more than mental farting, lucid dreaming has only been accepted as a legitimate practice for about 40 years. And the idea of it having therapeutic value is really still emerging. But yogis have been lucid dreaming for thousands of years. Now, admittedly, the only yogi I know is a rather chubby cartoon bear, but I have studied this subject for many years and have invested in some questionable devices that were later disapproved by the FDA. But most importantly, I have succeeded in having both flying lucid dreams and using lucid dreams to confront my nightmare demons. And I can tell you that these were some of the most exhilarating and unforgettable experiences, waking or otherwise, of my entire life. And before we wrap, I will briefly recount my lucid dream flight to the end of the universe and tell you what I found there. Now, while no one can learn to master lucid dreaming in just 15 or 20 minutes, we can make strides, and the great thing is that many people spontaneously have lucid dreams right after being introduced to the concept. We're going to review a mental training exercise designed to aid lucid dreaming that I have reimagined for Second Life. Then we're going to discuss strategies to help you recognize when you're dreaming and then achieve and maintain lucidity. But as we do, I want you to ponder whether the wondrous things one can experience within a virtual world, such as Second Life, including flying, really makes it easier in the end or more difficult to realize that one is dreaming. So Lou, if you could just fall back to earth, we will get started on the first mental training exercise. This exercise is known as dissolving the mental wall, and you can read about it and other lucid dreaming exercises in David Fontana's Teach Yourself to Dream, a Practical Guide. This exercise involves envisioning a landscape divided by a brick wall. On one side of the wall is a waking reality, and on the other side of the wall is a dreaming reality. Now, fortunately for us, Lou has been kind enough to render his landscape vision for us here in Second Life. So Lou, if you don't mind taking us through this. Okay, it looks like we have a modest one-bedroom house, apparently done up in the Boise State color scheme. A few piles of leaves. We'll ignore the fact that there don't appear to be any trees close by. Nice little swing set for the kids. A car that looks like it might have benefited from some garaging. And some more piles of leaves, which I'm sure the kids would enjoy playing in, or I suppose the adults. Lou, if we could stay focused here. And also got some of those cool Boise State EdTech posters there on the wall. And if we head over to see the other side, Lou, you're going to have to go around the wall. We can see Lou's dream world. And as you see in Lou's dream world, he is not of physical form, but is actually constituted by a pile of moving butterflies. But he still lives in a modest one-bedroom house, which is now floating, glowing, and filled with waffles. His piles of leaves have been replaced by piles of gold doubloons. I believe we have a live human cannon in the corner, which appears to be snowing. And there are some Star Wars creatures, and we appear to be on the edge of a black hole. But here's the key point, Lou. The reality is neither of these landscapes is any more real than the other. Both are just products of your own imagination. As such, the barrier between these landscapes is only illusory. You can easily move from waking reality to dreaming reality and back just as easily as you can walk through this wall. Go ahead, give it a try. Take the car, why not? Said differently, one can be both awake and asleep. One can be awake in one's dreams. But if that's true, the logical question is, how do I know if I'm dreaming or if I'm awake? Well, it's time for some reality checks. Lou, join me back on the other side of the wall by the BSU EdTech posters after you've gotten yourself back into physical form. Okay, Lou, good to see you back in corporal form. For this next part of the lesson, Lou, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and switch over to first-person perspective or mouse look, and you can do that by hitting the... Okay, I don't need to tell you that. So the critical question. So you want to get in the habit of asking yourself the critical question, am I dreaming? You want to do this throughout the day, but particularly during unusual or intense moments that seem unreal. After just transforming from a pile of butterflies, might be a good time. But then you want to go ahead and perform your reality checks. Now, the most proven reality check is the look away and back technique or lab technique. Now, this is very simple. So after asking yourself the critical question, am I dreaming? You want to look at a digital clock or words of some kind. And then you want to look away from it and look back. If nothing has changed, you can be confident that you're awake. Though, just to be safe, it's always good to do it twice. All right. Now, another proven approach involves trying to turn on a light. So, Lou, why don't you see if you can go ahead and see if you can turn on one of those box lights there. Great. Let's see if you can turn it off. Okay, wonderful. So, I think we can agree, that we are not dreaming at the moment. So, the next thing you want to do is ask yourself, well, what would be different if I was dreaming? Now, the first thing you want to imagine is getting a different answer to your reality checks. So, for that, let's head back over to the other side. So now, when you apply your look away and back technique, you look away, you look back, we see that, those words are certainly kind of going screwy, and I'm not even sure what's happening with that digital clock. And Lou, go ahead and try the lights over here, and I think you'll see that, find that they are not working. So, well, based on that, perhaps we are in fact dreaming. So after your failed reality checks, you want to go ahead and introduce additional dream cues. So if in your dreams you often talk to your dead grandmother, or get chased by evil clowns, or you see Star Wars creatures or whatever, you want to now picture that happening as well. Now, the more you write down your dreams and then review them for recurring characters, images, and actions, the easier this is going to be. Now, technology can also be used to introduce external cues, and that was the foundation of the device that I had purchased, and I think there's a new one coming out, they were basically dream goggles. And the idea was that once you hit the REM cycle of your sleep when you dream, it would start to flash lights, flash red lights that you could train yourself to look for in a dream. Now, these, your dreams are smart. They're going to try to incorporate this content. So It may show up as a railroad crossing sign. It may show up as being behind somebody with their hazard lights on in your dream. So you still have to kind of train your mind, but it becomes a way to look for a signal to tell you that you're dreaming. So you've asked your critical question, envisioned failed reality checks, and pictured additional dream cues. Now you need to visualize what you want to do in your dream. You got to have a plan. Maybe envision taking off and flying, or playing the perfect game, or taking down Vader in an epic duel. Or maybe it's something more practical, like standing up to that nightmare figure, such as the Grim Reaper that has haunted Lou's dreams for some time. Some therapists have begun to teach children the basics of lucid dreaming as a means to combat their night terrors, teaching them that they can be awake in their dreams and step up to these terrorizing figures and ask them what they want and what they really represent. For when you confront your nightmare demons in a lucid dream, they often instantly transform into someone or something else. The nightmares cease because you now understand what they were really all about. And what could be more empowering to teach a young child, or for that matter anyone, than how to take control of your dreams? Well, looks like Lou just discovered the connection between his nightmare and his Uncle Ray. Let's give them a moment to connect, and then we'll talk about how to initiate a lucid dream. All right, Lou, welcome back. Sorry to spring that whole Reaper thing on you. I thought it would make for good theater. Hopefully no hard feelings. Yeah, I guess I deserve that. So you're ready to have a lucid dream. But how do you actually make this happen? Well, a lucid dream can begin in one of several ways. First, you got your wild. That's a wake-initiated lucid dream. This is where you lock in your intention as you're going to sleep. Tonight, as I am dreaming, I will remember to recognize that I'm dreaming. And then you journey from waking to sleeping with unbroken self-awareness. Good luck with this one. I'm sure the yogis can pull this off, but geez, this is tough. And if you take a look at this image over here on the right, this will show you. Now this is from an app called Sleep Cycle. It really has nothing to do with lucid dreaming. But we took one of Lou's recent sleep cycles, and here's what happens. As you fall asleep, you go into deep sleep, and then you come out of that, and then you start to have your REM cycle periods where you dream. And as you can see, those cycles get longer and longer. So to be able to have an intention that you maintain all the way through deep sleep and then back into this period where you're going to have a very short dream anyhow is just going to be very difficult. So next you have the rather unfortunately named DILD, or Dream-Initiated Lucid Dream. This starts as a normal dream, but then you recognize a dream cue, you reality test, and then you go lucid. Now, historically, this has been the approach that has produced most of my lucid dreams. Now, there is a compromise approach that is advocated by the Lucidity Institute, and if I recall, Lou, the first time you tried this, it actually worked, right? Right. So this is sort of a modified wild approach, and you're trying to take advantage of your sleep cycle situation here, and the fact that you have this largest dream period here, and coming off of not really deep sleep. So what you do is you basically only sleep about this long. So if you normally sleep 7-8 hours, you would try to sleep 5 or 6. And then you would get up, stay awake for 30 to 60 minutes, and then go back to sleep. And when you do, you visualize going back into a dream. If you had a dream that morning, that's perfect. You can visualize going back into that dream, being in that dream, but this time being lucid. Reassert your intention. I will remember to recognize that I'm dreaming as you fall back to sleep. All right. Before I hit you with my favorite lucid dream, we need to talk about how to maintain lucidity once you do achieve it. The reality is many people recognize that they're dreaming, but then they instantly wake up. Or they realize they're dreaming, but then they quickly revert to passive dreaming. Now, the key here is to not get too excited, but you can't get too passive either. Having a plan, like we talked about, that you immediately put into action helps. In addition, however, there are several proven strategies for maintaining lucidity. Now, the first one is spinning or rolling. Now, don't worry about rolling off the bed. Yeah, Luke, perfect, great, you got the idea. You're not going to fall off the bed because your physical body is immobilized. But a simple spin does something with the brain, triggers something in the brain that helps you maintain this state. Now, there are a couple other things you can do. You can try to rub your hands together, or talking or singing something to the effect of like, lucidity now, or more lucidity also seems to help. So, remember to do that and to try to maintain your lucidity. Okay, so you ready for a personal case study? Fine. make your own video, Lou, and you can relate your own story. All right, so here it is. This is my dream-induced lucid dream from the summer of '92. So I was driving across the country. I had just quit my first job, and I was taking a tour of all the national parks and driving 500 miles a day. So it wasn't surprising that I had a dream about driving. So I was trying to drive somewhere, and I realized that my feet are up on the dashboard. And still, like in a normal dream, I figure out how to make the car move, and suddenly the landscape changes, and I'm driving through the Old West, and there are clowns everywhere shooting each other with water pistols and driving these like flying cars that are encased in giant balloons. And finally, at some point, I go, this is absurd. I go, I must be dreaming. And I remember to actually do the reality check. So I look at the clown car license plate, and it doesn't make any sense. And then I turn away and I look back again, and there isn't even a license plate. So I'm like, yes. So I immediately took off and I started flying straight up. And I reached the top of the trees and I dived down a few times. But then I finally get this idea that I'm going to see how far I can go. So I pick up speed, and soon I'm in outer space, and I'm blasting past the moon and the planets and Pluto, since it was still a planet back then. And I go, I'm going to actually see what's at the end of the universe. And I'm flying, and I start to see these brilliant colors, kind of evocative of the northern lights. And the next second, I've crashed into a bunch of colored Tupperware, and I wake up. So yes, at the end of the universe, there is apparently colored Tupperware. All right, so to wrap up this virtual world lesson, we're going to review your lucid dreaming action plan, starting with your waking life strategies. So if we head down here, and now it's only appropriate that we do a little flying for this. So if we get up in the air here, we can see our waking world strategies. So the first one is to get in the habit of mining your dreams. Write down your dreams. This will improve your recall, but it'll also help you develop that catalog of dream cues that you're going to want to use. Secondly, throughout the day, get in the habit of asking that critical question, am I dreaming? And then proceed to perform your reality checks. Remember your look away and back technique. Assuming that you are not actually dreaming, get in the habit of then dissolving that wall of bringing your dream vocabulary and dream images, picture them coming into your waking world. And then move on to that intention. That intention is, what is that plan that you want to do if you were dreaming at that moment? Intention also relates to, as you go to sleep at night, to remind yourself to be lucid, that you'll be awake in your dreams and you'll remember to be conscious. All right, so that's your waking strategy. Now if we move over to the other side, we can spin around here, we can take a look at the dreaming strategies. And a lot of these are going to be similar. So again, get in the habit of looking for those dream cues. Again, review what it is in your dream journal. Train yourself to look for absurdity. If you want to spend a little money and the FDA finally approves it, get yourself a pair of those goggles and look for those red lights to indicate that you're actually dreaming. When you do feel like you're dreaming, ask that question. You know, people are pretty good at sometimes asking, oh, is this a dream? But they don't get to the next step of doing those reality checks, and so they don't go lucid. Perform those reality checks like we talked about. And if you realize that you are dreaming, relax, stay calm, try to stabilize. Remember some of the things. Rubbing your hands, performing the spin move or the forward roll, reminding yourself to stay lucid, lucidity now, right? And then immediately put that plan into action, the plan that you've already rehearsed in your waking life. Take off, fly, do whatever it is that you want to do. So finally, as a closing thought, I do have a Pearl Tree. That's a kind of a social bookmarking thing where I've collected a bunch of different links relating to lucid dreaming, including some of the books that are mentioned here. And then finally, I want to share with you a very short clip from a very interesting film called Waking Life by the director who did those Before Sunrise and Sunsets. A very interesting animated film, and I really think this sums up it better than anything I could say. So Lou, if you could try to click on that closing thought board there.
The trick is to combine your waking rational abilities with the infinite possibilities of your dreams. Because if you can do that, you can do anything.
And that's it. Thank you, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this. Thanks to my volunteer, Lou. and good luck and good dreams.